Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Welcome and thank you for stopping by. It's fantastic you are here. Well, I trust you enjoyed my last video on music icon Dionne Warwick. And through her song, I'll Never Love This Way Again, we looked about the fact that your love is unique to the both of you. So I trust you found that one encouragement. Well, we're going from there to a bunch of guys that were formed in 1977 in the UK. Their name at the start was Cafe Races, Mark, David, John and Pick. And certainly their first gig was in Deptford in London. But it would be the name that they would take on a bit later that would make these guys one of the biggest bands of the 1980s. In fact, if you put the word Knopfler after Mark and David, you know that I'm talking about Dire Straits. Now, as I said, one of the biggest bands in the 1980s. And between 1978 and 1991, there was a little bit of a gap in there, about 3 or 4 years, 6 studio albums, 3 live albums, including the classic Alchemy album from the live set, 3 compilation albums, 2 EPs, and 23 singles. Some awards these guys have received: 4 Grammy Awards, 3 Brit Awards, MTV Music Videos, and they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2018. It's estimated these guys have sold around 100 million albums. In fact, the iconic Brothers in Arms album from 1985 sold 30 million copies. That's the album that had Money for Nothing, was one of the ones from that album. And it was one of the first albums. In fact, that particular CD was used to promote CDs when they first came out in 1985. In fact, that was the first album to sell 1 million CDs. So very significant indeed. Their 1991-92 World Tour, I remember them coming to Adelaide in South Australia, where I am. 7.1 million people saw that tour. So these guys are absolutely amazing. We're just hanging out to see Mark. We all know how good a guitar player Mark Knopfler is, but how good Dire Straits needed to be able to support that, and the way that they absolutely did. These guys are top class, make no mistake about it. Apart from being able to tell a story with their lyrics, they also tell a story with their music, creating not just songs, but pretty much works. Pretty much. I mean, if I think about the Love Over Gold album, we've got songs like Private Investigations, which is just so suspenseful. Industrial Disease, which is a bit of a jab out to the industrial world we live in. And Telegraph Road also, and I can remember it took about 20 minutes for that song to play from our home down to halfway down to the city. And so more than just songs there's actually works of art here. And remember, Love Over Gold in particular, that stayed on top of the charts in Australia for a very, very long time. It was just one of those absolute massive albums for these guys. And so there we go. They're considered the 8th best seller in the UK. If you think about the fact that the Rolling Stones and the Beatles and Elton John are in there, 8th biggest seller in the UK, that is for sure. Now, it's interesting to know that when you go to a Dire Straits concert, it's not a concert. Now, I've said this a few times. This is well and truly the case here. It's an experience. You know, songs tend to go on for a while because when Mark Knopfler gets going in one of his guitar solos, we just wanted to keep going because he's an iconic guitarist. And if you can do a solo for as long as this guy can, you're an absolute master at guitar. The fact he songwrites and sings as well, this goes to show we have absolute genius when it comes to music. So other songs of Dire Straits, I mean, you might know a few. Romeo and Juliet would be one. Sultans of Swing, obviously a classic one of theirs, and a few others like that. So Far Away From Me, and Brothers in Arms. And the list just goes on and on and on. And what about Walk of Life or Twisting by the Pool? There's just so many songs that Dire Straits have had. 23 singles in 100 million in album sales is a pretty amazing effort. Now, I was thinking about what song I talk about with Dire Straits today, and I thought I could talk about Walk of Life, and that came off the Brothers in Arms album. That's about the fact that we all just do life, but it's a bit of a walk that we do. Let's not just crawl through life, let's actually do a strut walk through life. I thought I could do Walk of Life, but I thought, no, I'm going to go to one of my favourite songs, really, of all time today. And definitely my favourite Dire Straits song, and that's this song, Tunnel of Love. Now, Tunnel of Love came off Making Movies from 1981. Now, the thing I loved about Tunnel of Love is the story. It's a story about a guy and a girl who meet in a carnival arcade, and they go on a bit of a roller coaster and have a bit of a go. And then they thought they'd walk out together, and she just said go, and he caught up with her easy enough, but something just made him stay. I don't know where this feeling comes from, where we think, oh yeah, well let's do this thing, and then something just hovers us back. We think, oh, maybe we won't. And I wonder when we look back, and I think very much the case in this song, that there's a bit of regret that he did stay and didn't actually follow her up. It could have been the love of his life, who knows. But the incredible thing I love about Tunnel of Love is the story that it tells. It's incredible how us as human beings love story, and we love to be able to be embroiled in characters, and we love to be embroiled in plot lines and twists and turns and everything that makes a story a compelling thing that it is. And we can very much put ourselves in that story of being the guy or the girl in the carnival arcade and having that moment, and then the moment slips us by. Because, even though we resonate with stories, we often think to ourselves, well, my story's actually not that much, it's not that exciting, I don't need to tell my story. But you know what? Your story is your story. There's no other story quite like yours. And it's quite sad when we think of people who don't want to share their story because they don't think there's much there to offer. But you know what? You have got an amazing story to tell. And if you're sitting in this room with me, I would love to hear it. But wherever you are in the world, I suppose all we can do is we can drop a little bit of our story in the comments below, because it'd be good to hear about some of our stories. And you know what? There'd be something in your story that I'd be able to resonate with, because just like you, I'm a human being. And just like you, I want connection with other people. So never be scared to tell our story. We don't go around saying, oh, look at me, aren't I good, all the rest of it. No, we do it in a very quiet and unassuming way. And, if we can tell it in a way that people resonate with, well, people hang in and will want to hear more. So I think the takeaway from the Dire Straits story today, Mark Knopfler well and truly told his story through this incredible band, and he told it in a way that only he could, through his guitar and his voice and his lyrics, and he was able to change the world and make it positive just that little bit more. So I think the encouragement from Dire Straits is that we all have our own story. We may not be as big as Dire Straits were, but, we don't have to be big to resonate with the world around us. We just have to be ourselves. That's all we need to be. So the encouragement from today is share your story. As you share in other people's stories as well, because people want to share their stories. It's just often we don't feel like there's an opportunity to do so. And so find a friend, find someone, hey, just have a bit of a chat about who we are and what makes us tick as human beings, and take it from there. So that's the encouragement for today. Well, on to the clips. Now, when we talk about Dire Straits clips, they go on for a while, okay, guys? But you know what? This is the magic of Dire Straits, and the magic of Mark Knopfler in particular is that he just carries us along, and we just want to hear what the whole band does. When I think of Tunnel of Love in particular, this is absolutely masterful. This is masterful. There's nothing short to say how good this performance is. We've got Dire Straits in all their glory here. We've got John playing bass at the front, and we've got two keyboard players and drums, and of course Mark up the front. And of course, one of the things I love about Tunnel of Love is the guitar solo at the end. The guitar solo would be about half the song here. But you know, it starts off with hardly anything, and typical Mark Knopfler style, Dire Straits style, it just builds and builds and builds and builds, and we don't think it could build anymore. It keeps on building. There's some awesome piano runs at the end of this particular song I love as well. So we have a live version of Tunnel of Love, and what can we say? We're looking at an absolute band in its absolute element here with this song. And of course, when we talk about Dire Straits, we've got to talk about Sultans of Swing. This came out from the self-titled album in 1978. Again, a live version of that one. And again, it goes on for a while, but you know what? When you're hearing about George who knows all the chords and all the rest of it, you know, he can play the honky-tonk like anything. We all know the words of this song. And, you know, these bunch of guys together, we are the Sultans of Swing. Da 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 da. We all know the iconic guitar riff of Sultans of Swing, so of course you've got to have that one in there when you talk about Dire Straits. You've also got to have Money for Nothing as well. This came off the iconic Brothers in Arms album of 1985. There's just something about 1985. So many amazing albums came out in this year. Oh my goodness. And Brothers in Arms, as I said, one of the really promoted CDs, this album. And the great thing about Money for Nothing is that Sting was part of this particular track as well. And here we have a live version and the official clip. Of course, the official clip is pretty iconic as well. Two guys moving fridges and stuff, trying to work out how these guys on the guitar are making millions of dollars. Such an iconic song, such iconic drums at the start of this particular song as well. So we've got both the live version and the official clip of Money for Nothing. And while we are talking about the Brothers in Arms album, we've also got Walk of Life, such a pretty upbeat and cool song about from Dire Straits. One of the great things about Dire Straits was that they could do some pretty quiet stuff and build it up, but they also did some real fun stuff. Walk of Life is one, Twisting by the Pool is another, Industrial Disease is another one. So that's a live version of Walk of Life, again from the iconic Brothers in Arms album. Now, there are a few songs there from Dire Straits today, and now if you want to listen to them, you're going to be listening for a while there, but you know what? If you've got nothing else to do, why not have a listen to a masterful band in action? So all the links to all of those 5 songs, 5 clips are in the description below. And I've also included my last video from Dionne Warwick, so if you want to recap on her, feel free. So that's it for today. If you've come back for another video, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time to Life Reflections Through Music, welcome to the channel. And thank you for everybody for hanging around to the end. That's always the encouragement, because you never know what might come out from this side of the camera, that is for sure. I just really enjoy doing these videos. I want to thank you for joining me today. Well, that's it for today. Next time we're going to go on to a song that pretty well took everybody by surprise and has got everybody talking. Taking a classic Simon & Garfunkel song and beefing it up quite a bit through the band Disturbed. So until then, I'll catch you around. Bye for now.